Welcome to Life Is, a proud part of the Bethel University Clarion podcast network. I'm co-host Zach Walker.
And I'm co-host Abby Pouts. Today, Life is social media. We'll talk about leaving a friend's house because the hangover is on, liking funny tweets, and updating your MySpace profile.
We'll discuss Instagram comments, online doppelgangers, and pooping in the McDonald's play place.
And even though we're supposed to be talking about social media, we'll probably tag each other about other things and maybe talk to some folks over at the award-winning Clarion newsroom.
Because life is social media, but life is everything else too. Life is drops now. Abby, when did you get Facebook or your first social media? If it was anything other than Facebook.
I was late to the trend. I don't think my parents wanted to expose my identity too early, so I just didn't get one. I was I was a really good kid. Like if my parents said not to do something or they didn't want me to do it, I wasn't gonna do it. So I would be at my friend's house.
Right here.
Yeah, I'd be at my friend's house. They'd have their Facebook up because that's what they had at the time. And they would say, well, why don't you just make one? And you can access, whenever you come over to my house, you can log in. Would never do it.
On their gateway desktop?
Yes. I left my friends' houses if they were going to watch an R-rated movie that I knew I could not watch.
Oh.
I know.
And I was kind of the same way. But it wasn't, because my experience was weird. My parents wouldn't say you cannot watch R-rated movies. They're gonna rot your brain and we're gonna ground you. I just we wouldn't watch them in my house until I got to a certain age. But I always had this weird construct in my brain, I was gonna become a worse person if I saw somebody swear or there was a sex scene. My brain would rot or something.
Yes.
So I was my own strict parent as a child.
Okay,
I was
I think that's how parenting. It's if you have pretty chill parents or parents that aren't on you 24/7. That's how my parents are. I was very free, to do whatever. But
same.
At my house, I knew oh, you're not old enough to watch. It was The Hangover. That's when I left the hangout we were at. They were all gonna watch The Hangover, and I was like, I know I can't watch that. And so I just called my mom and left. And it wasn't, my mom laughs about it now because I probably should have had a little bit of a more rebellious life, maybe.
Mom, they're watching The Hangover. I feel as a parent.
I didn't tell her. I said I didn't feel good.
Oh,
I've told her recently and she just laughs. She's like, wow, you were really good. And I was like, yeah.
You were embarrassed of how
I'm telling my mom that I'm
yourself.
A loser.
Yeah, exactly. Because I feel as a parent, imagine having your kid call they're at a friend's house. You think they're gonna call and saying Mom, there's drugs at this party, or Mom, somebody's fighting. But no, Mom, somebody's watching The Hangover and it's barely rated R. Yeah. You gotta get out of here.
I think that's true though, because then parents who are super strict, I think those kids are most likely to rebel. And when you just give them a little space, they just I decided you know what, I can't watch this. We don't watch this at my house. I know what the R means. If I see something, I'm never going to be able to unsee it. So
yeah.
And I have watched The Hangover, if anyone is curious, any of our viewers, and I'm glad I left. It wasn't
not
good.
A total nerd about it.
Yeah, I'm not a nerd anymore.
I have a whole lot to say about that whole sheltered children are the ones who lash out more and get into more trouble. I won't go all the way into it because it's a whole another podcast or a column or something. But I totally think that those parents who are you cannot do this, not do this, not do this, not do this. I saw it in my when I was growing up with the kids that had extremely strict religious parents. And then they were you couldn't do this. It's against God's word. You can't do this. You cannot drink. You can't go to parties. You can't have a girlfriend or a boyfriend. And then they get into college and just go hard and have to detox.
And it's terrible.
Because it makes sense too. Like you don't expose your kid to anything, and you
And
tell
then
them that
they
like
just get
everything is
let loose.
wrong,
Yeah.
and then they're let loose, and they've had this childhood where like all their friends have been doing this and learning about it, and
Yeah.
then they get let loose and they don't know like how to handle it. They just know that they can do it now.
And that's the thing. They don't have like a bond with their parents to be able to like tell them what's going on. Like I tell my parents everything. I've never felt like I needed to hide anything, and like maybe that is cuz I have been a good kid. My dad always says how lucky he is to have good kids. But like the parents who are always on them like you can't do this, you can't do this. They have to hide everything then. Like in high school, I knew people who would be drinking, doing drugs, whatever, would their parents never knew. I had no idea. They would hide it so intensely. And now I think that they're all home from school, even though they're older. Like some of them are of age to drink, but like certain things are not okay with their parents. I think it's really testing them and
Yeah.
making them panic.
Yeah, and that just seems like a trust thing. Like
Yeah.
if you don't like trust your parent, I understand that like yeah, if kids are going out and partying, they're not gonna like FaceTime their dad and say like, well,
Yeah.
check me out, dad. But if you don't have that basic level of trust where like you can't you were like always scared if your parents like
Yeah.
find out that you did anything against the status quo.
That's like not a good
So
area to live. That's like scary.
yeah,
Okay.
it is
Also, I
scary.
know this isn't social media related, but the parents, I know parents who party with their children. They're like
Oh
college
yeah.
kids.
Yes, I know those parents from my high
Are
school
you
too.
kidding me? If my mother was like doing something crazy, like with me at some type of an event, which I don't do, but like if that were the situation, insane. Are you kidding me? My mother? Like,
Yeah.
how is that fun? Like, how is it watching your parents get like insane drunk with
Yeah.
you fun?
I don't
It's
know.
so crazy how many parents do that.
That happened in good old Baldwin, Wisconsin, mostly when people were like out of high school. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's like kind of admirable. I don't know. Maybe the parents like built so much trust that they're like, yeah, I used to do this too, and like I'm fine with it. Like I
Yeah.
never knew parents who were like going to parties, but I knew parents who would like have a bunch, like their kid would invite a bunch of their friends up to like a cabin, and they would all like drink bush lights and shoot like explosives with pistols and stuff. Like that is a completely real thing
That
that I know of.
is
But
Wisconsin
yeah,
for sure.
for sure. We didn't talk much about social media, but I don't know. I think
But
I
this
know
was fun.
if you want to build trust with your kid, you have to force them to post every single thing they do on social media. I think that's the key.
Okay, so next up we have Taylor Fondy, a Bethel senior, and the most important part is she's Miss Minnesota USA, which is insane and so cool.
Thank you.
Um, Taylor, what does a normal day look like for you right now in quarantine?
It's honestly different all around. I have been getting up a little bit later. I used to get up really early, and now I've been getting up later. And then I usually go right into my workout, do some type of homework. I've been doing a lot of prep for Miss USA. So recently we've been having to submit a lot of content in potentially for like the telecast. So just getting to know a little bit more about each title holder. So what we do, any hobbies, and whatnot. So yeah, I do a little bit of that. I've been making a lot of banana bread. I love banana bread. I just made a fresh batch at like midnight last night. So, yeah, and then I've been picking up some of my old hobbies back up, so it's kind of fun. I go out and shoot my bow. I do a little bit of archery, and then I play some pool with my dad, painting, kind of a little bit of everything.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So
So, oh, go ahead.
what does that content look like when you have to send it in to Miss USA? And you said the telecast, is that like, are they prepping for if they have to do the ceremony over the internet?
No, so it's like if they want to put together potentially a package that will like pan over to us like during the telecast to get to a little to know more about us. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, if you think like, for example, like The Bachelor, when they talk about each specific person on that TV show, they pull up a little like get to know them, like B-roll and kind of what they do in their life. So,
Oh, sure.
So
Okay.
when is that? Is that coming up and is it like delayed? I didn't even think about that. I don't know when
right.
it is.
Right. It's crazy because like I literally don't know when it's going to happen at this
Yeah.
point. They have no information because we have no idea what's going to really happen with this all.
Mhm.
So, we're kind of just on our toes right now and I don't mind it. It's all right, but yeah, I'm looking forward to like knowing the date here soon, but it probably won't happen for a while.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Um, so our topic today is social media.
Mhm.
I know you have a big following for like a Bethel student. That's what we were trying to find.
Uh-huh.
So when did you first get a social media account? Like what was your first social media account? Did
Yep.
you go ahead?
I totally remember the first day I got my first social media account was Facebook back in middle school. I want to say like back in 2010 or something crazy like that. And I go and I still have that profile picture that you can go see on Facebook and I look so little in it. I'm like holding my backpack. It's like the first day of school and I look like I'm like 5 in the picture, but I'm like I can't believe I had social media then, but I was 12, so I wouldn't say that's like horrible. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
I think
Um,
that's when everybody our age, like that's when all of my
Right.
friends got it. Like right, I don't know when it was, but right when we all turned 12, we're all like, the thing we need to do is get on Facebook. And
Right,
I
right. We're
also
like,
remember,
everyone get on.
yeah, yeah. And everybody was obsessed with getting an email account too.
oh
Oh my
yeah.
I
gosh,
remember
like
that
AIM.
was yeah, yeah. I got like Gmail was my first one, and I spent like days trying to figure out my username.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
luckily, I landed on just my regular username and not something like bigman420@gmail.com or
Oh my
something.
gosh,
Would have been
right?
wild.
so I think that email addresses are the funniest thing because yes, when you're 12, that's what it's like this big step you take. It's like in
Mm-hmm.
elementary school, your mom's like, well, it's time to wear deodorant. It's like, oh, you're 12, it's time to get an email account. Like you're going to start getting coupons. It's going to be great. But you're 12. And so you do like your dog's name and a bunch of numbers and like
Yep.
stars, exclamation points, all this stuff. And then you become an adult and you need to change it. But I worked at a retail store. People do not change them. I
Oh,
was
right.
typing in twinkles 1, 2, 3, 4, like
Yep.
all these things. How terrible.
Oh my gosh. I know it's like
That's
you wish you
funny.
could change it like you can change your username on like Instagram,
Yes.
but you can't.
No, you have to get a
Yeah.
whole new thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
speaking of Instagram, is that your main kind of social media platform, Taylor?
I think Instagram's definitely my favorite. I go on that one the most. I've recently been going on TikTok a lot though. That's like my new
Okay.
favorite one. So it's like
Okay.
Instagram and TikTok and then I'll go on Facebook every once in a while and then Twitter's like pretty rare.
Mm-hmm.
do you have to be on any platforms for you being the title holder of Miss
Mhm.
Minnesota USA,
Yes.
or how
Yep.
does that work? You
Yeah,
do?
so with our being having the title, you have your own Miss Minnesota page or whatever
Oh,
state you are. Each title holder has their own page and you have to post on it and stuff. So
that's
Okay.
cool.
So what does your Instagram following look like?
on my personal,
Mm-hmm.
I want to say I have just a little over like 11,000 followers.
Wow, that's
Okay.
crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
When
Like
did you
600
start
or something.
when did you start gaining that following?
Right. So I get asked this question all the time, and it's not like one day I just had like 11,000 followers or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't just overnight like bam pop up, but pretty much how it worked is I've had Instagram since Instagram was like a thing, like back in like middle school I had it, I want to say. And doing cheerleading, pageantry, modeling, and like traveling across the world or like around the US for that, I meet a lot of people and you just kind of like build your network through that. And I always love like meeting someone and then following them on social media because I'm so better when I put like pictures with a face instead of just like hearing their name. So I don't know. I just like constantly just like love building up that network, and it's just happened throughout the years. And yeah.
So
Sure.
do you like social media? Do you think it's a positive thing for you to have or for like the general
Right.
public to have too?
I love social media. I mean, obviously, with technology, there's always going to be a pro and a con. I think with social media, it's kind of what you make of it. So you can choose who you follow. So follow the people that you know you find joy from, or the pages you find joy from, because it's completely in your control, I would say.
Okay. So what's kind of your philosophy with when you have so many followers? I feel like it's not like me having a social media account and I can just like post a random photo of me like going fishing or something. Like,
Yep.
is there a strategy that you use or a philosophy? Like, do you have to keep a
Mhm.
certain image or talk to me
Mhm.
about that?
So my big thing is with anything I post on my page, I just really look for quality over quantity. And then my stories are more quantity. So the things that I don't really want to post on my page, but I want people to see I post on my story. And so I guess I don't know, I like to do a quote every 3 pictures on my page. I really like inspiring quotes. So I really want people when they come to my page to be like inspired and motivated. I love like uplifting people. So that's why I kind of brought in the quotes, and I always love reading them. So
That's really awesome.
thank you.
Um,
Yeah, that's so cool.
when you go from just being like a normal college student to having this massive following, I think you kind of becoming like Miss Minnesota USA. You're kind of this public figure now. You're not just
Mhm.
like a Bethel student. So with being a public figure, is there any like criticism that comes with that you weren't expecting, or what are some of those when you become that public figure? Do you get like flack from anyone else like on your accounts and stuff?
I would say when I first started off, like I didn't have a huge following, but it was a little bit bigger than average. You know, every once in a while it's social media, you're going to get weird comments or people saying things, but I think that it's important to just remember that those comments don't define your worth in the end. And so you just have to remember that. And so, yeah, you're going to get mean comments, but you just have to brush them off your shoulders. Um, and so in the beginning of kind of when my following started, I guess you could say, there were some comments being made of people making fun of me for doing the things that I did, like modeling or cheerleading. But you know, and sometimes they were just joking around, and you just have to realize that, you know, they're just kids. They don't even know like who they are sometimes. So don't take it personal. And I think now like people are really honestly respectful. Like I haven't gotten like, you know, you get them every once in a while, but I haven't gotten like too many like negative things. And yeah, I
I
don't know.
think
That's kind of it.
I think you're probably not new to it either with being previously a cheerleader for the
Right.
Vikings. I'm sure, like, people yelled things and maybe you heard some like, I'm
Hmm.
sure you build a skin when you're, like, a public
Right.
figure like you are to try and ignore as much as you can.
Right.
Have you can you remember, like, a day where you just couldn't, like, you were really upset, or have you been able to stay positive throughout?
Like, if someone said something hurtful to me over social
Yeah.
media.
Yeah, yeah. Tell us about a specific moment.
Yeah, so it was more so back in the Twitter days when Twitter was super popular in high school. So I don't know if you guys remember like subtweeting. People could
Mhm.
subtweet. Meaning, if for those who don't know what subtweeting is, it's pretty much they just tweet, but they're pretty much talking about you, but they just don't at you. So people would do that, and they would mock some of my pictures that I posted. Like for example, when I was younger, I started to get into modeling, and then some people would post a picture of copying my pose and doing it like in kind of a mean, sarcastic way. But the thing was, like, you just have to laugh it off. Like I didn't take it personal. Like at first I was like kind of hurt by it, but then like you kind of like regroup and you're like, okay, like just laugh it off. Like don't take it serious. And yeah, I would just say like that's the biggest thing. I mean, obviously some people can say some pretty mean things over social media, but I think like we were talking about, it's about having tough skin, and you have to realize it's life. Like people are always going to say mean things, and especially when they're hiding behind a screen. So I think it's important to do your best to brush it off and know that that does not define your worth.
Awesome.
That's
Thanks,
really awesome
Taylor.
to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one last question: with having such a big following and with you having an influence over a lot of people on social media, what's kind of the main message that you want to send to people that are seeing your content and seeing what you post every day?
Right. So when someone comes to my page, I just want them, first of all, to be like, so when someone comes to my page, I want them to be really inspired. I want them to be able to see my quotes and be motivated by those. Like, that's like one of my big things that I include in my page is my quotes, because I don't know, for me, like when I go on Pinterest or see quotes on Instagram, and I really connect with it, it makes me feel really good about myself. And so that's one thing I incorporate in my page. And then just to overall inspire people and to show them that, you know, you can go after your dreams. I'm no different than anyone else out there, and that you can go after that goal or that dream that you have and pursue it. And it will take time, because if you look at my page, you know, I didn't start right at that goal. I worked my way up. And so, you know, if you like do some creeping, you can see that. But yeah, it's fun.
Awesome.
That's
well, thank you,
awesome.
Taylor.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
It was so nice having you on. All right, for this needs to, I have decided another stop. I know, negative.
You're just
all
negative,
around.
man.
I know. So I thought of this last week when we were, of course, talking about Grimace nonstop, always.
Yeah, it's not a weekly. It is a weekly thing. It's not
Yeah.
like last week we talked about Grimace. It's just
it's
when
any
Grimace was the
episode.
Grimace segment.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get too much into Grimace on this, but this
Well, that's
Grimace,
not up to you, Abby. That is not up to you.
Grimace was the catalyst for this idea. So in some McDonald's, if you like, I've never been in one, so maybe I shouldn't like be super negative about this.
In a McDonald's?
No, I have, but into a McDonald's that has the playhouse in it. The like
the
jungle
cool
gym.
McDonald's.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So no. And then I think those need to stop. And like the mall playgrounds for the kids to just be dropped off while you shop, that needs to stop. Okay, I think one, it's so weird that you would drop your kid off to go shopping, like without anybody watching.
Who does that?
I've seen plenty of people do that. I have seen kids there by themselves all the time.
So this is a real this is a situation where I don't think it's the mall playgrounds that are the problem. It's just negligent parents. Like
okay,
they take mall playgrounds around away, and parents are just going to be like, "Oh, there's a Hot Topic over there. Like, go play in there while I go to shop at Lowe's or something." I don't know. That's what the kids are into.
Everybody go to Baldwin, Wisconsin to go to the Lowe's and Hot Topic.
Yeah, those are the two big stores.
Those big stores there. So, with the pandemic we're in, think of how many germs are in those McDonald's playhouses that you're just exposing your, like, what? Maybe like 2 to 6 year old child. You're just throwing them in there after they've ate like probably one of the healthiest meals in the world. Their energy is just very high from their Happy Meal. You're just having them run around. Think of how many kids probably threw up in there. Or like go to the bathroom in there. I don't know. It's just odd.
I don't know, because I hear about that all the time. Like, I guess not all the time. I'm not on like r/McDonald's playhouses on Reddit or something. But I used to go in those as a kid because my parents wanted me to have a fun time, and they were nice. So I would go in there and it was fun. I never once saw a kid pooping in it. I don't think that exists. That probably happened twice. And then like somebody took a picture of it, and then it's like, oh yeah, everybody takes craps in the McDonald's playhouses. Maybe, I don't know. But I think, one, kids are there's so many germs in the world that McDonald's playhouses are not like the epicenter of germs in America for children.
No, but do you think that they are, like, the employees of McDonald's, do you think that they are doing a good enough job cleaning? Because I had friends in high school who they worked at the community center here in Maple Grove, and they had one of those, like, I don't know, like indoor playhouses. Is that what you would call these things? Like indoor jungle gym type things. And all the time they would have to clean up, throw up, poop, like all these things.
What is that?
Every day.
I'm still okay.
So do you think that the kids from Wisconsin are like not thrower-uppers, like they're responsible adult kids that can go to the bathroom, figure their life out, and then everyone in Maple Grove has baby kids that are throwing up and pooping everywhere?
Yeah, I think we teach our kids how to be self-sufficient over here in Baldwin, Wisconsin. Our producer Sam put in the chat, sometime not very athletic toddlers climb into playlands and can't find their way out. So their 6'3" fathers need to work their way in to try to save them. And they do smell like poop.
So this must be a personal story.
Yeah, I don't think this was just like some fictional thing that Sam made up.
Yeah.
That's incredible. One, here's something, Abby. I'm still on the pooping in playhouses train. Are you saying, because kids poop their pants all the time. Maybe they do it in a playhouse. You're saying that they're pooping in the playhouse? So are you saying they're going in there, taking off their pants and dropping a load in the playhouse?
I don't know.
Is that what you're saying?
I don't know if it's like they had an accident and they maybe like went down the slide and like maybe it came out of their shorts a little bit. I don't
know. So they're saying, so if you were a kid, and maybe I'm just like way overestimating kids, is that like they would
I think you think kids are very responsible.
They would poop their pants. They'd poop their pants. And then they would think the best thing to do would be go down the slide. Is that a kid thing that goes through a kid's head?
No, maybe. But like if they're in the playground, you got to get down somehow, right? And like Sam said, not all kids get to figure out how to go down. And so their dads have to go up, or their moms, or I don't know, maybe they get a ladder out and they get them down somehow.
Yeah, they have to climb to the outside.
Everything is shut down. Like, okay, what's the difference of a kid going to the bathroom in a like jungle gym indoor thing compared to in a pool? Like, I think they're both equally bad. Like, you should shut them down. Like, if there's poop somewhere, it's going to get everywhere.
Chlorine.
Right?
It is. Sam said chlorine.
I know.
And he is correct. Pool is worse for pee. Man, there is a lot of bathroom talk going on in this segment.
I know, sorry.
Pool is worse for pee. The McDonald's land is worse for poop. Because if a kid poops in a pool and it's like, I don't know, if they're like keeping regular and it's solid, it's gonna like float to the top. But if they like poop in the middle of a playhouse, like that's not being found for a while until like a kid reports it. And also the funniest thing to me, and we gotta wrap this up, unfortunately.
I know, so
the
sorry.
funniest thing to me is the idea of like an older man like having to climb through a McDonald's playhouse and clean up stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why it probably doesn't happen. I also just want to point out, sometimes for all of our listeners, you don't get to read the chat that goes on. We have Joe Heedy is still here, and Sam is here, and our Professor Scott is here, and they all talk in the chat. And I just want to throw out Joe's great comment of Scott said, sometimes the McDonald's ball pits smell like pee, not poop. And Joe said the best ones smell like both. So I think we can end it on that wise word. Next up, we got friend of the podcast, host of the Bethel Clarion Podcast Network, hit podcast Treading Warm Water, Clarion sports editor, and aspiring half marathoner, and one of my best friends, Joe Heedy. Thanks for coming on, boss.
Heck yeah.
Friend of the podcast, best friend. Oh, so many things. So many.
I know. Everything. You're on.
You're
tell us
amazing.
about yeah, Abby, I already gave him enough compliments. Don't
Okay, sorry.
Tell us about an awkward social media moment from your life, Joe.
An awkward social media moment. Wow. I mean, I think just like my Instagram itself was pretty awkward. Like
your whole image.
The whole thing.
Well, like, I've deleted so many photos over the years, and I just think like, why on earth would I post that photo? So I think everybody's gone through this. Like, I have mad respect when I add somebody, when I follow anybody on Instagram, I look through their page to like see the photos that they posted, because I don't know, like I have cool photos from New York. That I posted. Yeah, like I have cool photos from New York.
Everyone likes to stalk.
Exactly. Like I hope people look at my page when they follow me. But whenever I follow somebody's page and I see like the cringy selfies that they took in like 2012, where like the camera's at a super high angle, and, like, your head's all tilted
like
weird,
black
so
and white.
like, a nice
There's a
jawline.
weird filter. There's like text over it that says like inspired or something.
Yeah, like whenever I see those, I like always have so much respect. I'm like, they either don't know where the delete button is, or they just don't care what people think about them. And it's like either way, like I always think that's great, but I would just post like the stupidest stuff on Instagram, like just terrible photos.
What's the worst thing you've ever posted on Instagram?
I
Or
think
like
I
just the dumbest one.
I tried to post something funny about like a Twilight thing. Like I wrote like watch Twilight, like Team Jacob or something stupid like that, because I thought it was gonna be funny. So like I did something dumb like that. Don't look at my Instagram. You will not find that photo. I don't even own the photo anymore. It's long been deleted.
That's awesome.
So you were trying to be like ironic about it, right?
Yeah, like I was trying to be like a meme about it.
Of course, yeah. All young boys thought they were the funniest in the Twilight and like Justin Bieber era, and I was one of them that would be like, "Oh, I love Justin Bieber. He's so funny." Or he's saying like Justin Bieber's the ugliest person in the world. Like all middle school boys, that was their thing.
So did you genuinely were you genuinely Team Jacob? Because I have been 2 feet away from Taylor Lautner, and I am taller than him. So I wouldn't pick him. I've never seen Twilight, but I just feel like he's not a good choice.
I mean, the guy is going to be Batman. So, I mean, he's kind of winning right now. But, like, then again, you think, like, Shark Boy and Lava Girl. I mean, Taylor Lautner's kind of like, he's winning in that category.
Yeah. In Shark Boy, Lava Girl area, that is amazing for him. Amazing for him.
I do.
How many times has Edward been Shark Boy? 0? How many times has Jacob been Shark Boy? Once. I mean,
exactly. That's true.
Come on.
That's true.
We all do need to be Team Shark Boy. If it was Edward, Jacob, and Shark Boy would take it. Also, this is like this is an entire podcast question, but I just want to pose this. I am a believer that Edward Cullen is one of the strongest fictional characters of all time.
Oh.
I think Edward Cullen could defeat a lot of the Marvel characters. And it's a whole podcast. The guy, like, he can't die. He can only die from like other vampires, but it's a tangent. I just wanted to bring that up. Maybe we'll bring that up on another podcast.
He has sparkly skin, so like he's beating Grimace in that category. It's cool.
Grimace has sparkly skin when I look at him. Sparkle in my eye. Well, the skin, did you know, because his skin is like made of diamonds, right?
Yeah, it's something silly like that.
So like something silly. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, Edward's like the vampire skin.
I didn't know if you were talking about Grimace. Like Grimace's skin is not made from diamonds. That is a great take.
It is. You heard it here, folks. Grimace's skin made of diamonds.
So now I have a question for the two of you.
Yeah, go.
I haven't looked at your guys' Instagrams or Twitters or anything, but do you guys own your name on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok or whatever apps are out there? Like, is your handle at, like mine? I own Joe Heedy for everything. Like, I'm at Joe Heedy. So if anybody searches my name, I'm up. Like, do you guys own at Zach Walker and at Abby Pouts?
What does that mean?
Like,
so
your
like
user-
is your username at Abby Pouts?
Yeah, but I don't know if it's that on everything. Yeah, it is on. Yeah, it is.
So I am
guess.
unfortunately named like a lot of other people in the world. Like there's a few Zach Walkers out there, like quite a few of them. So I don't think I own. I'm at ZWalker98, which has been my name since like 5th grade or something.
Is it because you were born in '98?
Yeah.
Wow, that's
No,
amazing.
that's actually the social security number.
Oh,
I just thought of a fantastic social media story. If you guys don't mind if I share.
We do mind, actually. We would like
Okay.
to be the only ones talking on this podcast.
Yes. Thank
Yeah,
you.
go for it. We want to hear your story.
So this person on Instagram followed me like 2 or 3 years ago, and his name is Joe Hitty. It's the exact same name I have, except he has an extra T in his last name. So his last name is Hitti, and mine is Hiti. So he followed me on Instagram, and I was like, oh, that's weird. This guy has the same name as me. I thought he lived in Minnesota, and he goes to the University of St. Thomas. So, like, it's whatever. Like, we just follow each other. I like his photos. He likes my photos. Like, funny stuff. Like, years go by. I start working at Apple. One day I'm helping somebody at the bar, and I see their last name, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they have the same last name as Joseph. So I, like, asked the girl, I was like, you know Joseph Hitti? And she goes, yeah, that's my cousin. And I go, this is going to sound so weird, but I'm Joe Heedy. She goes, you're the kid with the same name as him. I'm like, yeah. So we met. So I met his cousin. We talked, like, blah, blah. Even weirder, I pull up his page to show, like, her and be like, hey, like, look, this is him. Like, I follow him. He had his last photo has a picture of my ex-girlfriend's sister in it. And I'm like, what is going on? The weirdest thing ever. So, like, whatever. People, and then I find out that, like, a buddy of mine that I work with knows her and him because they go to church together. But then, like, she comes in like 6 months later, and I walk up and I'm like, Marion, what's up? Like, how's it been? She's like, Joe, how are you? She goes, this is gonna be so funny. Let me FaceTime Joe. So she FaceTimes her cousin, and she goes, hey, look who I'm here with. And she turns the camera to me, and he immediately goes, Joe, what's up? I'm like, Joe, what's up? We met each other through FaceTime. It's crazy. Like, that is the most insane story I have. It's so crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
do you still stay in contact with him?
Yeah, like, you just liked my photo I posted the other day.
Oh,
like,
that's so
crazy
funny.
about all this.
That stuff is awesome.
Like, it's the biggest coincidence. Like, how do
What
you
do
even
you mean that stuff, Zach? I feel like that stuff isn't often. Oh, you have a story too.
I don't have well, kind of. But I think, like, that's an example of when there's, like, some weird coincidence, it oftentimes just makes people, like, really nice and just, like, wanting to get to know this other person that is coincidentally like them. And I think you don't see that a lot because people are always like, they don't want to meet a ton of new people. Not everybody, but like at Bethel, there is a email chain that goes out to every guy named Josh at Bethel. And one of the Joshes made it, and they all, like, do surveys and talk to each other and stuff.
That's amazing.
And I think that stuff is cool. Joe, it also could be, like, really advanced level identity theft. So
that's
watch out for that.
I saw that he followed me, and I was like, oh, somebody's trying to make fun of me, but, like, they don't know how to spell my last name, because, like, that happened to my brother when he was in middle school. Somebody, like, made a fake JPD account. So I was like, oh, haha, like, you can't even spell my last name right. But, like, turns out he's an actual dude. It's just so random, especially the fact that, like, we continue to like each other's photos. Now I realize I haven't liked one of his photos in a while, but I mean, great person. I love Joseph, one of the nicest guys. Yeah.
Plugged at Joseph Hitti.
Yeah, it's just great. Like, it's insane.
Oh.
Let's get Big Joseph on the podcast sometime.
Yes.
Like, I think Instagram and like social media are great because stuff like that can happen, like silly stuff. Like Twitter is really good for journalists. Like I tweet out all my stories. I tweet out all the stories that my sports reporters write or that anybody in my section writes, or even if like the Clarion, like, or even just anybody tweets or writes a good story, I like to tweet it just to share it.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of like toxic energy around social media. And I feel like when you support that type of energy, that's when people are like, oh, like social media is so terrible for you. But if really you just were like, oh, I'm not going to like this tweet making fun of this kid for being overweight, then stuff like that wouldn't happen. And I think people just like when they get on social media, they either become really productive, like Taylor Fondy, or they become just horrible people. And I think it's really only one or the other. I don't think there's an in between. I think it's either you're a productive, stay to yourself, like work on your self image and stuff like that, or you're just a horrible person that's trying to make fun of other people.
Hot take.
Yeah, that is a hot take. I don't know. I think there's probably some middle ground. Like,
I'd say
I'm not
a
at
middle grounder.
like I'm not at Taylor Fondy level. Like I promote my stories on my Instagram. I have a Twitter that I got when I was writing for the Pioneer Press because they wanted me to post all my stories. I have like 25 followers or something, and I should stay active because that's where all the journalists are. But the idea of having to develop like another social media following and having to be active on another social media platform, like social media is just not my favorite thing.
I am the same with you, Zach.
And I'm like, but I should do it so I can get hired. And
I
so
know.
people can see my stuff.
Well, like, yeah, that's the thing. Like when I was interning in New York, because I was in New York, if nobody knew that, like big deal me. When I was interning in New York, like they would always like my editor would always be saying like, "Hey Ben, did you tweet your stories? Hey Kevin, did you tweet your story?" Like that was a big thing. Like tweet it out because not only are you going to like grow your own social media, but you're also helping the brand you're working for. And being able to do that, I think really, really like shows that you're a productive person. And like now I'm looking for jobs and I want to be able to say like search my social media and see that like I know how to handle it responsibly. Like I'm a good promotion for like any brand that I work for. I think I have like 200 followers on Twitter. I don't get a lot of likes or retweets, but I can see the activity and people interact with my tweets. I mean, my biggest fan is Abby Peltz's boyfriend, Jaden. He's always liking, always retweeting, always DMing me. Like we're just best friends and we love each other. But yeah, I mean, if you can show that level of drive in like something simple like tweeting out 240 or however many characters it is now, I think that's like a good showing of like, hey, this guy's on top of what he's doing. Because like at the end of the day, Zach, how many hours do you put into writing a story? Right? Like
A lot, yeah.
a lot of hours. It takes you 5 minutes to tweet it. Not even.
That's true.
Right? So I always think like at the end of the day, what's 2 more minutes? Like if you're going on a run, like the other day I was running and I was at like 3.8 miles, and I just ran around my circle until I hit 4 miles, like the cul-de-sac in my neighborhood. Like I'm not just gonna stop point too short, like keep going, like keep trying. So yeah, I mean that's the life of a sports editor, marathon, aspiring half marathon runner, all of that.
What we've learned is that using Twitter is almost the same as being a marathon runner. So I mean, you do one or the other, and it's kind of it's the same results.
Same person,
Yes. Thank you so much for that insight. Zach, why do we have social media? When did this start? Do you think it started with moms and Facebooks? And then it just spiraled downhill.
It didn't start with moms and Facebooks and going on MySpace. I don't know what was the first. Do you remember what the first social media ever was?
Email.
I guess. Like, what was the first like real social media?
I think Facebook was the one that got the biggest.
Yeah, but like MySpace existed. Was it MySpace? I trust
6 degrees.
Scott and Sam. If you guys know, because I think you guys lived through it, right? What was the first 6 degrees? First recognizable social media site. FM radio. Tumblr. Yeah, okay. Scott Slide.
Tumblr.
MapQuest is going to be Scott's next answer. 6 Degrees. I don't know what that is, but Facebook is a big one. MySpace.
LinkedIn, Orkut, LiveJournal. MySpace and Facebook were like the first two that I heard of.
Yeah,
But
I remember
beyond-
when I remember being a small child and I was like hanging out with my older cousin and I was just sitting next to her computer while she went through her MySpace. And I remember that was something. And that was before Facebook became big. But why it started, I mean, have you seen The Social Network? The movie?
No.
It's amazing. You should go see it.
I should. Okay.
It's really good. It's on Netflix. It was just added.
I know.
Many people think it's like the best movie of the last 10 years. A lot of like film people that I listen to on podcasts and all that.
I'm gonna watch
I don't know
tonight.
if I believe it. I don't think I believe it, but it's a really good movie. But they, Facebook started as like a way to rate women, right?
Yes.
Like that's how Mark Zuckerberg is like, it'd be cool if like we could have a site on Harvard's web that all the Harvard people could go on and say which girls are hot and which aren't. And like, that's pretty horrible.
But do you think social media is still that? Because I feel like it's similar.
It's not explicitly that. I think the essence of that is still a deep-seated thing in social media. Because like Taylor was talking about, I think social media it totally depends on how you use it. And I think that's right in a sense where, you can decide that you can shut off social media. You can decide which post to like, which not to like. You can decide what to post, what to comment. But also, there is a lot of really kind of sadistic type, I don't know if that's the word, but like the way that social media sites are coded and are designed are to really drill into your head and to like provide you with the quickest hit of like dopamine that they can so that you keep going back and you keep seeing ads and then they keep making money. And they code it in a certain way so you keep going back and you get addicted to it. That's why it's so addicting. That's why things like TikTok and Instagram are so addicting.
Candy Crush.
And I think Candy Crush. Exactly. Are you still number 6 in the world or in the nation?
I think I'm 4.
You're 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to update.
Please don't say I'm 6. Jeez.
Sorry. Just wanted to update. But I think the biggest thing about social media is it can breed a lot of self-confidence issues. And I think that's the biggest thing because unlike life, you can completely control your image on social media. So what you're seeing when you go onto social media is the fabricated best parts of somebody's life.
Yes.
Or if there's something that's not a good part, it's probably somebody asking for pity. And I think that's very dangerous, especially for young people and people who might already have some sort of self-confidence issues that they're going on and they're seeing all of these people that are looking like they have amazing lives. And then they're thinking, why don't I have that?
I think though, actually, the people who aren't as confident or have this certain view of themselves, they post more and try and make it look like they feel great about themselves and that their life is something that people like would aspire to be like. At least in my experience, that's what I've seen. But okay, so back to what Taylor said about you can control what you like and all that. But when you like for Twitter, for journalists, it's very important, like we've talked about. But if you're like trying to get a job and you're gonna say, yeah, look at my Twitter, but you're also like just a goofy person, like who knows what you've liked? You know what I mean? Like, do we have to put a persona on Twitter as journalists? Like, professionally, or can we not like tweets that are like borderline inappropriate or like borderline stupid and funny because we don't want our possible future employers to see those things. You know what I mean? Like, we're always thinking when we're on social media. It's not a mindless thing always. It's, oh, if I like this, will somebody see it? Oh, if I comment on this, like, what will people think of that?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the aspects that makes me the most discouraged about social media and makes me the saddest. And I know I'm getting into my boomer talk of saying, all the kids are using social media too much. But I think the point that you just made is that there are so many, our culture has created this world of, we're so focused on our public image so much that we're almost more focused about our online image than our real selves.
Yeah.
And is that a world that we want to be living in, where if we want to get a good job, we have to make sure that we've never liked anything silly on Facebook? I totally agree.
I don't want to do that. I want to like what I think is hilarious, because that's who I am as a person. So I don't want to get a job where they think that I'm going to be 100% professional all the time. Like, I'm a human. Yeah. I want to laugh. I love laughing.
And luckily, I think a lot of businesses understand that. I don't think there are a lot of robot businesses out there that like, you liked this funny cat picture, we're not going to hire you.
2015, you liked this.
Yeah, exactly. And I totally agree. Like, if there is something that is like disrespectful to a person or insensitive, don't like that. Like, people, you should get in trouble for that. You should like not be able to get like a certain big, if you were like
consequences. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm going to make that more clear. I'm talking about like something dumb, like something silly where it's not hurtful towards anyone, but it's hilarious. Like a funny Bachelor tweet or something like that.
Yeah. I think honestly, in reality, I think we're fine to go out and do it. I follow a bunch of meme pages on Instagram and I like them and do all of that. I don't think a newspaper is going to come back and see like, oh, this guy's weird and he's looking at funny stuff. Like, they're not. I don't think they're going to say that. But I think I don't know. I think there are positives to social media too. Like, I think the biggest one, people always say like, you're staying connected to people. Like, it is cool that we can stay connected to like people from high school and family, friends that are across the country and stuff like that. I think that's cool. But question that Mark Ives, who's a friend of the podcast, my best friend, has posed to me a lot. He believes that in about 20 years, we are going to look back at social media like today's adults look back at smoking.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And think like, why were we doing that? So what are your views on that? Do you think we're going to, in like 20 years, look back and think that this was like crazy that we were doing this?
Yeah, for some people, like I have friends who are on social media so often. Like Joe said earlier, my boyfriend is on Twitter all the time. And like that's because he misses basketball right now. He's looking at any news he can about any sports going on. So I get it. But like, also watching TV and doing that is like just another thing to keep you busy. Like, I think during this time, I have found myself to be wanting to do other things, wanting to just like color, like marker, paper, simple. I'm never on my phone. Never. And I thought I would be during this quarantine. I'm never on it. I'm on my laptop for homework and that's it. And then I just hang out. I have enjoyed so much time with friends and family playing. Well, not friends. Okay. Sorry. Lockdown. Just my family playing cards, board games, whatever, doing a puzzle. Like, those things I've realized make me so much happier and make me like more joyful. So I think for some people who do have like an addiction to social media or to making themselves look a certain way online when they're not like that in person, I've met plenty of people like that. I think they'll
Yeah.
look back like, wow, that was terrible for me.
Yeah. And I think it's really cool that you bring up that you're not using your phone and you're doing a lot of other things that make you happy. You mentioned that like TV is another just like way to like spend time. And I wouldn't agree that it's like the same as social media.
No, yeah.
I think the reason that social media is toxic in a lot of ways is you take TV, you take movies, things that like you can just sit down and consume them, but you're still like, there's a lot of cognitive processing that you have to do with understanding these stories that are on TV. And there's a lot of stupid TV shows, a lot of stupid movies, but usually like you have to pay attention and you have to understand the story and you can learn from it. And social media,
and it's like somebody's artwork.
Exactly.
Almost.
And what social media is it's the easiest way that, like I said, we can like get dopamine. You open up social media, it's always new, and it's the easiest thing you can do. You just scroll and see new things, and it's mindless, and you just keep scrolling, but somehow we're fed by that. And I think you can see this I have seen this firsthand with some of my roommates that we'll be watching a movie and we'll all be like, yeah, let's take a break. Let's watch an awesome movie. And 10 minutes into it, 2 people I'm watching the movie with are scrolling through Instagram. That is the saddest part to me, that we have some people have reached a point in life where they need so much stimulus that even a movie won't do it. That our attention spans have gotten so short that we can't even watch a 30-minute television show with picking up our phone.
Yeah.
What? How? What is going on? Like, and then people wonder, like, why are people like super productive or all of this? And it's not a good thing. But I'm not above it. Like, I do it too.
For sure. Yeah.
I scroll through social media, but I don't think it's a good thing for us.
I think that social media is something that we've used to like almost multitask, or like picking up our phones, like we're multitasking. We're watching a movie with friends, we're being with friends, but like I'll check my email with my friends all the time. All the time. Because if I can like get back to somebody or email like I will. Like, why not? Otherwise, I feel like I'm wasting time when really, like, I'm not going to be on my phone emailing somebody if I'm like out visiting a museum or out like you know what I mean? Like if
visiting a museum.
Well, like I'm thinking of it as art. Like if I'm watching somebody's film that they put a lot of like their creative mindset into, I should pay attention to that. Like I have enough human respect to do that and like give my full attention. It's crazy.
I completely agree.
You've been listening to Life Is, a podcast from the Clarion, Bethel University's national award-winning student publication. We'd like to thank our producer, Sam Mulberry, and the brave souls who clean ball pits.
The Clarion still publishes stories every day online at bethelclarion.com. Today, check out 2 new columns from columnists Sierra Bilby and Mark Ives.
Please tell the people in your life about Life Is, which drops Monday and Friday until we run out of things to say.
Because ultimately, life is people. So tell both Joseph Hebes.
And tell the people of Team Shark Boy.
And tell the kids who poop in the playhouse.
And tell your future employers that you're funny.